Well, Lee, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you, mate. Yep.
How are you?
Not too bad, thanks. Not too bad.
All good, all good. Sorry about the technical glitches. There's always something that plays up now and again, but sure, it's part of the
No,
course, isn't it?
yeah, not a problem, mate. Not a problem at all. Thanks for
So,
having me on.
yeah, no worries at all. So it's just me and yourself. Richie got tied up this evening, so it's just going to
Okay.
be me and you playing Keepie Uppies.
Okay.
I suppose just to give you a run through what it's all about, it was actually Richie that started it up during
Yeah.
lockdown, more out of boredom. And it was really about just linking in with guys and managers, coaches, players, referees, whatever, in the
Yeah.
men's and ladies games. Just I suppose just celebrating local football. So we focused a lot sort of around our own kind of local area, sort of around Lurgan, Craigavon, Portadown. But Richie asked me to do co-host at the beginning of the year, and I said, well, what about sort of reaching out, sort of beyond that, because obviously there's quite a few football teams outside this area. So you
Yep.
were always somebody that I wanted to touch base with, because I know from your success, particularly at Ards Rangers and obviously more recently with Ballymacash, was just sort of wanted to link in with you just to get your lowdown on just I suppose your youth career and particularly your managerial career.
Yep.
So
No.
that's what it's all about. Bit of crack
If
along
yous
the way
are
as well.
if yous are bored enough to listen, I'm happy enough to talk. So
So we're going to get into it then. I suppose we'll give you a nice easy one to kick things off. When you were a young fella many moons ago, what team did you support, and who was your football hero growing up?
yeah, so I was a big Glentoran fan. That was my passion.
Uh-huh.
And that was really where my interest and love, of football kind of came from.
Yeah.
Just upset Liverpool fan as well,
Good man.
which is has grown as I've got older. But definitely as a young boy, it was the Glens, and that was me, home and away, following the Glens all around the country. Going to every game and being a bit of a stato about the Glens, from just from an early age, and that was what I really I loved to live for. I lived for football, and always just a Glentoran fanatic. And I suppose it's never really left me. But like heroes, I suppose as a young boy, John Devine was a big one for me at the Glens. He was Glentoran captain, and then maybe a wee bit later was Pete Beattie, who kind of took over the captaincy from John
Very good player.
when he went to Coleraine. But yeah, they were probably the two, and then obviously I've got to know Pete as I've got older and through football and stuff, and I kind of standing there starstruck, and he's kind of looking at me, think, what are you doing? But from a young boy, I had these guys in, just a pedestal of of heroes of mine. But the Glens were just and it was such a good, successful kind of time when I was growing up as a young boy. You know what I mean? It was I suppose maybe not originally, but they just won the league in '92, and then went through a wee bit of a bad patch, and then obviously Roy Coyle came in and had all that period of success, and I was just fanatical about the Glens, and that was really probably what got me interested in the coaching and managing side of things. I think everybody was kind of wanting to be a player when they're younger. I always wanted to be a manager. I was always wanting to be a manager, and there's probably a few wee things that I like. Even Roy Coyle was probably a hero of mine too, and probably a few wee tips and things that he used to do that I would do now. If you ask anybody about my kind of superstitions with a water bottle and stuff on a Saturday, that was all came from watching Roy Coyle. But definitely the Glens, and say Liverpool as well, were big Liverpool family, all fanatical, and I would try to go over to Anfield now as much as I can, as I'm older. But as a young boy, being an East Belfast boy, It was the Glens were always my first love.
Yeah. And what was it then? What you were saying there that you always wanted to go into management. What was it about management? Because I love Football Manager and Championship Manager when I grew up. But I
Yeah,
said to Richie many's a time, there's not a chance I would ever manage a football team. Just with I know it's not the same in all
no,
clubs, but the egos and managing all, keeping fellas happy, I just couldn't deal with that. So some people can, some people can't.
no.
But
I was the same in terms of Football Managers, the LMA manager I used to
yes,
play.
love
And
that.
I remember listening to the young boy. I remember my mum and dad bought me a big Liverpool, like a bench coat,
Uh-huh.
and I used to sit in my room at 8 or 9 years of age wearing this big trench coat, pretending to be a manager playing on the computer. So it was that. So most people are on about the bedroom in shorts and t-shirt. I was on about in a manager's trench coat, pretending to be. I don't know. I mean, even in school, always got in trouble from teachers and stuff. People were sitting in class writing their work. I was sitting writing football teams,
Hmm.
formations and picking teams, and I could have went through all different clubs of Irish League in England, and I was just writing out formations, writing out players, and I always remember doing that from a young age, and I don't know, I can't tell you why, but I just always had that interest, and really, it probably was that interest in management that took me away from playing.
Hmm.
People ask me why I started so young and why I didn't continue playing, and it was because I got more of a buzz. It was just something that was natural to me, which is, I know it's not common. It's not common to kind of be that young in football management, if you know what I mean. But it was just something that was always what my passion was, and I've done okay with it so far. But it's a fickle game. Listen, when one bad result and you're an idiot again. So it swings around about football management. It's a very, very fickle game.
Yeah, no, it's just fascinating. You just had that interest at such a young age because I suppose the natural kind of way of it, I suppose, is you play, get to your mid 30s, and then go into management. Or some
Yeah.
people like Brendan Rodgers, they pick up like a bad injury in their early
Mhm.
20s, and that's why they're kind of really forced into coaching and management. But
No,
that's great.
mine was really, in terms of youth career, I really just always, I was never, I wasn't a ball player. Any of my kind of friends who played with me will know what it was like. I wasn't a world beater. I
Hmm.
think I read the game better than I probably played it. I would have been centre half and probably more like a sweeper. I would have stood and told everybody where to go and what to do. I was, rather than me being able to carry it out. And I played right up. I was always kind of captain, of the teams that I played for, and
Yeah.
even like the BB was basically it was big back when I was a younger boy, and real good teams at that time, and we played up right. I played up right the kind of 16, 17 all through that, and even the school team, with a great school team, Peter Thompson, was in my class. Me and him were good friends, and with a real good team, and it was good standard, and everybody moved the afternoon football. And I didn't want to move the afternoon football because I didn't want to miss the Glens match. So it was a real struggle for me. And I tried it. I tried it for a bit at the start, and I didn't enjoy it. And then a lot of that group that I played for, all the BB, they all moved to Orangefield in the amateur league.
Hmm.
They all kind of a lot of the group of the players and my group of friends all kind of went to Orangefield. That was the kind of move on, in terms of senior club, in amateur league football. And the thought of playing amateur league football and missing the Glens just wasn't for me. I just couldn't do it.
Yeah.
And that was I just loved the Glens too much. And it was something even in my early days of management I struggled with. Because I could manage in the morning and then go and watch the Glens in the afternoon. And it was only when I kind of later on when my management went afternoon career, that I had to kind of stop going to watch the Glens, because really from the age of 10 to probably 22, I don't think I would have missed. You could count in one hand the amount of Glens games I missed in those
Hmm.
kind of that 12-year period, But yeah, I mean, I would be the dream one day, but
Hmm.
it might never happen. But obviously that's absolute East Belfast boy, born and bred, and Glentoran's my club, and people, my friends and all, kind of maybe joke with me now because I can't go to the games anymore. You're not a Glen man, don't go to the matches type of thing. But they never take it out of you. Always I go when I can type of thing, you know. But that was kind of how it started for me.
Yeah. But who knows? You never know what the future, what lies ahead. You know, you could end
Well,
up going back to Glentoran games every
well, that
Saturday,
would be,
but
yeah, that would be the dream. That would be the
aye.
dream. No, but
But
yeah,
you obviously your focus with
long,
Ballymacash
long way to,
at the minute.
long
Yeah.
way to go for those days.
So talk to us then about your youth career. You know, you said it was maybe fairly short, but who would you have played for then as you were kind of growing up in those kind of underage groups?
Yeah, really, it was just BB in school. That was all my played from 8 years old right through to kind of 16, 17. They say I was
Mm.
always captain of those teams, and you know we always done well and win leagues and cups, and but you know that was so I'd kind of there the whole time, the whole period, just being playing for them, and I went to the BB I grew up in the BB. That was all what I did, all what I played, all what I wanted to do. A few of the lads went to Hillsborough Boys, I think around kind of 14, 15, and I didn't want to go. We stayed in the BB and I loved it, enjoyed it, you know. But that in terms of as a player, I say I wasn't. I think it's fair to say I'm a better manager and I've achieved more as a manager than I ever did as a player, you know. But I wasn't awful either. I mean, that was, you know, I probably could have done all right in the amateur league at lower levels. When I got a wee bit older, I had a wee spell at Carrick when I was about 18, 19. And that kind of it worked alongside how I got into coaching because my brother, he had moved to Carrick and he started managing a Carrick I think it was under 15s or Carrick under 14s, Carrick under 15s team, and they trained with Carrick reserves as it was, and I think there was a few questions asked, and I ended up was at Carrick for a period, and I enjoyed that. And actually, where I've came across some like Michael Moore, who plays for me now at Ballymacash, we were playing the same team together and stuff at Carrick. So that was probably but I just didn't have the commitment. You know, I always wanted to go and watch the Glens. That was just, and I look back now and I do regret it. I do think I should have done more. You know, I could have maybe done more as a player, but you know, I say it's worked out okay for me in the end, and I think I do have a bit of an advantage against other people, as you say, who maybe retire now in mid-30s and go into management. And you know, I'm a young manager, I'm only 38, but I do have, you know, a good amount of experience. I think I've been managing for, you know, I think my first year managing was probably 2004.
Crazy.
You know, so like 18 years behind me.
Yeah.
And that's stood me in good stead now, if you know what I mean. So you know, I always tell everybody, anybody who listens, anybody who'll know me, they'll always say, well, I have not mentioned I scored one goal for Carrick Reserves and it was an absolute worldly away to Ballymena. I think I got the ball on the halfway line, beat about 3 or 4 players, hit one to the top corner, and the Michael Moore loves to tell this story. We were 5-0 down at the time, and I think I was about 17, 18, and I scored this wonder goal, and I just went on a lap of the pitch, the sheer salute, one-hand salute. You know, 5-1, didn't care. I was over the moon, run home and bought the Ireland Saturday night to see my name in the paper.
Yeah, you've done your job.
Yeah, I done my job, you know, but Michael always likes to tell that story, and you know, I think every time I tell a story, it gets further and further out. It was 35.
And there's more players taking on.
Started at 25, I went to 35, went to 40, you know, but yeah, no, that was probably my, you know, the height of my playing career for all it was, you know. But I just had more interest in going watching the Glens, and when you got that age, 16, you had to then go to afternoon football, you know, because it was always morning football, and I just didn't want to play afternoon football. Didn't want to go and play for the likes of Orangefield in the amateur league, to miss the Glens games.
Yeah.
It just didn't happen for me.
But in saying that, it sounds like the most unbelievable consolation goal that's ever been scored by the sounds of things.
Yeah, listen, you're taking the words out of my mouth. It was I think it was actually Dwayne Nelson and that's for Ballymena, and I actually remember Alan Neal was playing for Ballymena, and I played with him at the school, and he knew obviously I played centre half on my days, playing the same team as me, and never ever seen me score a goal. And I was marking him at the corner a couple of minutes there, and he goes, "How did you score that?" I was like, "I have no idea," you know. But yeah, it was so I tell everybody that story. That's kind of, you know, anytime we go to Ballymena or play at Ballymena, or, you know, we play Wakehurst, I always talk about my goal at Ballymena. So anybody who's listening who know me, I'll be like, he'll have to tell about a goal at Ballymena, but it was a wonder goal. And Michael Muir was on the pitch and can verify it. But yeah, so.
No, good stuff. So to get straight then into your management, who was the first team then you managed? Was Ards Rangers then where it kind of all kicked off, or did you manage before that?
Yeah, no, I say it was actually so the first part of coaching. If you like, so my brother's a bit older than me, and he actually again started coaching at the BB, and I helped him. So I was maybe was 16, 17. He then moved to Carrick, and then he started managing Carrick under 15s or under 14s, and then I went and helped him. So I was his assistant manager, and then I had done that for a couple of years, and then I moved to Newton Ards to live, and Ards Youth were looking for a manager. I think it was an under 15 team, so I applied for the job. So that was my first management job, was Ards under 15, so not Ards Rangers, Ards Football Club, under 15s. So, and the team was poor. They'd lost a lot of players, and to be fair now, there's that basis of that Ards under 15s team was the team that's held me in good stead right through even my career at Ards Rangers. So I was at Ards under 15s, and we had a good season. I then went to Ards under 16s. And we done really, really well. And then I moved up the Ards under 18s as manager. And there was no Ards first team had just been relegated from the Premier League into the Championship 1. So there was no reserve team anymore. So at Ards, it was first team and under 18s. So I was a young manager. You know, I think I was 22 at that stage, managing Ards under 18s. You know, which was essentially the second team. So the likes of Ryan Newbury and stuff were in that team. It came to maybe Ards Rangers and Mark Drysdale, lots of players in that team, and we've done really well. We'd win the Youth League Cup. I think it was my last actually game when we were there against Cliftonville team with like a young Joe Gormley and stuff in it. And but that was a great shaping for me at 22 years of age. I actually remember George Neal was the manager at Ards, and he lost his job. He left, and Gary Hillison and Morrison took over. And we trained together in the civil service. Ards first team in half a pitch, and Ards under 18s in the other half a pitch. And I turned up, Gary Hillison and Morrison, and they said to me the first night they took over, and they said, "Lee, we've got players to talk to tonight. Can you take training?" And there was me at 22 years of age, and that Ards team, you know, Andy Waterworth, John Bailey, you know, there was real good seasoned pros, Jason Hill. So that was like, I was going, what is happening here? You know, 22 years of age, telling these lads what to do in training. But I think that helped grow my confidence, obviously. You know, in the game. And I say I was there then for 2.5 years, so 4.5 years in total at Ards. And then at the end of that season, we won the Youth League Cup, and the Ards Rangers job became available. I was 24. I applied for the job and lied about my age. I told Ards Rangers I was 28, and went for the interview, and couldn't believe it when I got the job. So Ards Rangers were 1A at that time, and I say as a 24-year-old going into the club, it was daunting for me, but exciting. So that was kind of how I ended up at Ards Rangers.
Excellent. I suppose the good thing, with those couple of years that you're with Ards underage team is, I suppose there isn't as much maybe pressure on you, do you think, at underage? There's still a certain amount of pressure on you, but you can kind of afford to make mistakes in a way, totally, which is all about kind of progressing the younger players into the first team.
It's totally different. I mean, there would be no point now giving me an underage team to manage, because it's very, very different. It's a very, very different type of management. It's all about bringing the players. It doesn't matter if you get beat 6-0. If you producing a player for the first team, you know, you've done your job, and that is the aim of youth coaches. And I think especially at younger age groups now, I watch some kind of managers or some coaches, and you're frustrating because they're very results driven. That's not results driven football. You know, that's about player progression, player development. But I didn't know any better at that age, so it was very, very different going into the Ards Rangers, where it was results based.
Yeah.
So you're right in saying, you didn't have it was more a case of we had a couple of players who broke into the first team at Ards and stuff, and it was a case of they were doing well, so it didn't really matter. I'd done my job.
Mm-hmm.
You know, lots of players kind of came up and had done the job, so it was very, very different than the Ards Rangers. Ards Rangers were a club, very older group. I was a complete outsider. Nobody knew me. So there was obviously, I think the players and probably the people around the club were disappointed with the appointment of me at 24. Because nobody, well, I was obviously lying about my age, telling them I was always 28. And I brought the majority of that Ards under 18 team with me, across the Ards Rangers, and then I had got rid of a lot of the older players at Ards Rangers who were maybe in their 33, 34, 35. And that probably didn't go down well. So I think it's fair to say I wasn't the most popular person going into the Ards Rangers. And all those experiences have definitely shaped me because, you know, at 24, I was just a kid and we didn't do that well at the start at Ards Rangers. We actually lost 10 games in a row. And I remember we played away to Warren Point, who were a Middlesbrough League team at that time, so we didn't know that Warren Point were going to be the Warren Point, you know, that they turned into. But obviously Barry Gray was there, and they beat us 5-0. And big Jason Mooney, who was my goalkeeper at the time, he ended up going to Tranmere and doing well for himself. He gets sent off after about 20 minutes. And it was like Graham Taylor. I said to the referee at the end of the game, "Thank you, you've just cost me my job." And there was a vote then to sack me at Ards Rangers. This was about 4 months into the job. There was a vote to sack me. We'd lost 10 games in a row, weren't doing well. I think we were 11th in 1A. There was a vote to sack me, and there was 8 in the committee, and 4 voted to sack me, and 4 voted to keep me. And the chairman was one of the ones who voted to keep me. And so his vote carried, and I kept my job by the skin of my teeth. And in the same season then, to be fair, I think it was all the young players, just that it was very, very difficult for them. It was a big learning curve. I think after 6 months, they had got the grips with the physicality of the league, the difference in the league, and that same season, we win 10 games in a row and actually got promoted in the same season. So it was a massive turnaround, and again, like sliding doors moments. You know, I could have lost my job. I probably deserved to lose my job at that age of 24. You know, losing 10 games in a row. There's not too many clubs that would have kept me. You know, but there was kind of 3 big, Gordon Stewart, the chairman, Desi Adams, the secretary, and Neville Phillips, one of the committee members. You know, God rest his soul, he's passed away now. They were the 3 who were big advocates of me. They were the 3 who had interviewed me, and I say they had fought to keep me. And you know, sliding doors moment, win 10 games in a row then that season, and got promoted in second place to go up to the Premier League in my first year, which was incredible. And then obviously going into the Premier League then we were able to maybe bring a few better players, and it gave me the confidence then that, you know, I wasn't going to lose my job. I wasn't on a knife edge. But again, very, very young going into the Premier League. And the Premier League back then, the Amateur League, you know, you'd one of 7 or 8 teams that could win it. I think these days there's maybe only 2 or 3 clubs can win that league. But back then, you know, from Downpatrick to Albert Foundry, you know, there was so many really good teams. I think Newington were, you know, I think had won 4 or 5, you know, of the leagues. Then years you had young Darren Murray coming through, you know, but it was a great time. We actually, in my first season, we actually finished second. We actually lost the league in the last game of the season. In our first year in the Premier, that was my second year at Ards Rangers. So, yeah, and obviously I was there for 9 years, which went well overall.
Yeah, and you added obviously 2 league titles and a Border Cup and got the various other cup finals.
Yeah,
Is there would that be up there? Those obviously winning those.
Unbelievable, yeah. No, the first amateur Premier victory was as good as anything. It was unbelievable to win the first, because, you know, the club had only ever won 1 league title in their history, and to do it, and even it was us and Albert Foundry. We were neck and neck the whole season, and we played them actually back to back, the last 2 games of the season, and we beat them 1-0 away up there, and we were really stuck with injuries. And I had to play the same 11 the week after, and I was like, if Albert Foundry, if they do something different against us, we don't have a different option. We can only do what we do here. We don't have, and thankfully they didn't. Thankfully they played the same the same way. We knew they were going to pass and keep the ball, and we just kept their shape, 2 banks of 4. We beat them 1-0 in both games, and that final game, I think it was the only game in the country. It was an 11 a.m. kickoff. The crowd was unbelievable. The Daily Mirror was there to present the trophy after the game, so that I think the whole of Shankill Road was down, the whole of Newton Ards was down. It was an unbelievable day. So the win 1-0 that day, a draw would have done us. We scored in the 81st minute to win 1-0. To win it in that manner, and I was 28, I think, at that age, so we'd actually had 2 runners-ups before we win it. So to be so close twice before, so they get promoted, then get two second place finishes, and then they eventually actually win it was amazing. That was as good a buzz I think as I've had, because nobody will ever take that away from you. I said to the players at Ballymacash when they win the league, nobody can ever take it away from you now. You're in the history. We knew we were in the history books at Ards Rangers, so it was just an amazing time. And then obviously we went on. I think the following year we would have won the league, in my opinion, but the Intermediate Cup took so much out of us. We got to the cup final. We got beat 1-0 in the cup final. We got the Clarence Cup final. We just ran out of legs. We played from the 4th of April to the 21st of May. We played every Saturday, Tuesday, Thursday. From the 4th of April to the 21st of May that year. So it was, I never forget that. It was so difficult. For the players, when they were young players too. And we just fell short. We got beat 1-0 by Institute, who were a Championship 1 club. Then, it wasn't now the way it is now, where Championship 1 clubs are senior and couldn't be in the competition. We got beat 1-0, and another late deflected goal from a free kick. And that would have been, fantastic. I know the likes of Ralph Ryan and stuff have went on to win it, and Crumlin Star, but back then it was it was up to Championship 1 clubs could enter the Intermediate Cup. So Intermediate Cup loser in the final, 2 Clarence Cup finals loser in the final, and I think we had 3 Premier Amateur runners-ups. So we've been bridesmaids, so many times. So they actually win the two Premier Leagues. Obviously, to do the double in 2015 then was unbelievable as well. To win the Border. I think a few teams had won the Premier and the Clarence, but hadn't won the Premier and the Border for a while. And to do it in the style we've done it, but we walked the league that year. To be honest, we were phenomenal. We just had such a good team, so many good forwards. And probably in my time at Ards Rangers, we probably put 3 teams together. It was probably 3 different generations of team. So that was it was nice that we'd kind of rebuilt the team. We'd lost a lot of players, had moved on to bigger, better things, or few people had retired. So to be able to do it again, and show that consistency level was again brilliant for the whole club. That whole season was just amazing from start to finish.
No, fantastic. And even those, I suppose, those runners-up places and missing out in a couple of cup competitions. Either way, it was a golden period for the football club, and I noticed Ards Rangers had a legends match or something recently, and obviously it invited you back, which just shows you that how highly thought of you are at the football club.
No. Listen, some great people at Ards Rangers. It's been, and obviously Jackie Kerr is the manager there now, who was my assistant for the last kind of 4 or 5 years of my time there, and Jackie was a brilliant player for me. So it's one of them ones where I don't like to go back too often. I just think it'll be the last thing Jackie wants me hanging around the club as well. So it's not, I haven't went back too many times since I've left, but certainly I've got lots of made friends for life there, and some really good people, and hopefully obviously Jackie's doing a great job. It was a rebuilding job for him then after I left, and he stabilised things and done really well, and hopefully they can get back to the challenging things, because they're a huge club, with the potential they've got there is super, very much like Ballymacash now for myself.
Yeah, and then obviously you got the job then after Ards Rangers then at Knockbreda.
Yeah.
I suppose that was a hard one to turn down, because it was an opportunity to manage, in what would have been then Championship 2? What's the
No,
term?
Championship
No,
One.
Championship 1. Yeah.
Championship One. It actually, I think I had got a bit frustrated at the end at Ards Rangers in terms of I wanted the club to push on. I wanted the club to kind of, show ambition to move up,
Uh-huh.
move up the levels, because I was fed up losing players to, teams in Championship 2 who weren't bigger clubs than Ards Rangers. And I was bringing players in and we were doing really well and they didn't want to leave, but they wanted to play higher.
Mm-hmm.
And I found that a wee bit demoralising, because there was only a ceiling. There was a ceiling what you could achieve. So I knew at the end of that year, that it was probably the right time to leave. And I got, basically there was interest from Bangor, who were in the Ballymena League, obviously a massive football club. So there was interest in Bangor, and then I spoke to Bangor, but there was lots going on with Bangor in terms of there was an old board and a new board coming on board, and there was a bit of a power struggle. So I was never, the new board kind of coming in had kind of made advances to say we would like you to be the manager if we get in power, but there was no guarantees. And then obviously I spoke with Knockbreda, and Knockbreda offered me the job. And as you say, I was young, I was keen, and I couldn't turn it down. I just thought, yeah, that's for me. And then it turned out then Bangor, the board who had approached me, ended up, they did come in power, but it was maybe 3 weeks later. So, I never had the two job offers at the same time. Obviously Bangor's a real historical, huge Irish League football club. But I say it wasn't at the table at the same time. So I went to Knockbreda, and it was very challenging. I'll be honest. It was I don't think Knockbreda, there wasn't really the money about the club that maybe had been there in previous regimes that I had. It was very, very difficult, and it was I found it challenging because they had a bit of a mantra, a bit of a style. They wanted they wanted youth, they wanted young players, they wanted to play a certain way. And it didn't really suit. It probably didn't really suit me. But I was young. I wanted to manage in Championship 1. I was so keen for it. I was happy to be there. I was happy to be there. So anybody who would know my teams though would know, my teams are big, strong, physical, with a wee bit of quality. And the successful teams in Ards Rangers, the 3 teams we built at Ards Rangers, had that. My team at Ballymacash now have that. Whereas at Knockbreda, it was more a younger technical team. My team talks would be, any player who played for me tell you that they're loud, they're passionate. I found myself with a young changing room of players who were more looking at tactical and technical information from the manager rather than kind of, the passionate team talks. And we give them that, but we couldn't bully teams. We couldn't be as physical as we wanted. Actually, when I first went to Knockbreda in year 1, we were actually top of Championship 1 for a bit. But, I'm not going to go into it, but a few players had to leave. A few players had to move on. That's football. The club had kind of wanted a different style of player. And we became I say at the end there I almost became a manager I felt I didn't recognise, because it very much was a totally different type of management for me. But it was a brilliant learning curve. It's been, I think I've done around 100 games in Championship 1 senior football, so that stood with me really, really well. And again, some really good people at Knockbreda, but it probably wasn't the right move for me. And I probably lost myself, if I'm being honest, in terms of I became a manager I didn't recognise with a kind of football team I didn't really recognise in terms of what I like to do. If my teams get beat, no other team will outwork us or no other team will outfight us, and that was happening at Knockbreda. I think when we played well and when we clicked at Knockbreda, we had some unbelievable performances, we had some really good results, but they were hit and miss. There wasn't that consistency from the young players, and that was frustrating for me, and for them, I'm sure. But I just felt I didn't have the money to kind of go and get, a kind of 32-year-old, with, who's been there and done it, and that's what really needed. But they maybe needed two or three of them. But it was a great learning curve. I wouldn't change it. I think it's definitely made me a better manager, and certainly for when I was, taking the Ballymacash job and stuff, they were questions that I had after at Knockbreda, whereas at Knockbreda I was just happy, to be there. I say I'm not going to too much details, but I say I'm not bitter towards them. Honestly, I'm definitely in a better position now for what I've experienced, and there'll be lots of managers there who would love to have that experience under their belt that I have now at 38. So I can't. But it was a very, very different experience from Ards Rangers, where everything I touched the Ards Rangers turned to gold. Whereas at Knockbreda, that really didn't happen.
Yeah. I suppose, do you think I'm sure you don't, in a way, have too many regrets going to Knockbreda, because it was, as you said, you were maybe coming towards the end of your time at Ards Rangers. It was an opportunity, a step up. But would you have done anything differently? You were saying you didn't identify your team, or you maybe lost yourself a wee bit. Do you think maybe, it's easy looking back now, but
day one, I basically, on my first day in the job, signed 3 players. So tried to sign 3 players, and one of them was big Sticky Hislop, who had played for me at Ards Rangers, and done really well for me, and had played for Knockbreda before, and I was told no, that I wasn't allowed to sign him. He was a troublemaker, basically. Sticky's a big, loud, mouthpiece from the Shankill, but he was instrumental in my Ards Rangers teams.
Mm-hmm.
But it was a case of no, he's a troublemaker, we don't want him. And I went, okay. So I think, in hindsight and experience, I should have said, I'm the manager. You want me to be the manager, I can sign my own players, or I can't.
Yeah.
And I didn't. And I think that was, so I started off on a wrong footing, but again, I was just so happy to be there. I was so keen to be there, just be at that level. I thought it was great at the time. I thought it would be okay, but I should have set my stall out. Thinking back now, if you could imagine a Roy Coyle, for example, being in that position and being told he's not allowed to sign a player, it wouldn't have happened. It wouldn't have happened. But I was 33, 33 in a Championship 1 manager, so I was just like, all right, okay, But that would certainly, from day one, I should have been stronger. But again, great learning curve.
Yeah.
Not make that same mistake again. And I say, when I met with the guys at Ballymacash, it was very much, I asked them all them questions. Can I do this? Can I do that? Am I allowed to do this? Am I allowed to do that? Before I took the job, because I didn't want to be in that position again. Because I fully believe if I'm totally left to do what I want with no influence at all in terms of, I know that my style, I'll be honest, I have a theory on my kind of I'm probably very different to a lot of people. People will comment about my teams, people will comment about the way my teams play. And the reason is, before I even set foot in a level 1 coaching course, or a B license or an A license, I had been coaching for 10 years before, I had got there. So I had done things and learned things my own way. So I would very much based my football management and my coaching on what I watched, and that was watching the Glens. That was, that kind of 4-4-2, 2 wingers, Tim McCann, Stuart Elliott, or, whoever they were over the years, and 2 centre forwards. And that was how, I played. That was what I wanted to do, and, Pete Beattie and Scott Young centre midfield, Big Pete was the enforcer, and Scott was the footballer. And that was, again, what I try to replicate in my teams in terms of player profile. So then you go to the coaching courses, and they're great and they're good and they're great learning curves, but I do feel that they're teaching everybody to be the same. They're coaching one way of football, one way of style. You've maybe got ex-players who are finishing their playing career coming into coaching, and they teach every coach to be the same. So my problem was I already had 10 years behind me before I needed, obviously you need badges these days now to manage at Championship level or Irish League level, and and that was why I had to go and do them. But I'd already had my own ideas and my own style and my own philosophy, So that's where my teams are the Ards Rangers team, Ballymacash team. They are very that old fashioned, very very kind of hard working. We rely on crosses. We're not looking to get the ball at right back. We transition over to left back and everybody gives a wee round of applause. It's not my style. It's not, possession is overrated in football. You don't pick up a newspaper and see, 3-0 on a Saturday, but they've got 62% possession. It's about putting the ball in the back of the net. It's about putting the ball in the right areas. And that's very much what I do and what I coach. And, I say it's been successful, for me overall. And it's not, it's not what I'm looking to come away from anytime soon, but it's that's what I'm comfortable. That's how I'm comfortable setting the team up, and but there is I like to think you can tell a Lee Forsythe team based on how they play and how they look, and it's done well for me, and I'm so thankful to Ballymacash that they've given me that scope to just you go and do what you want. It doesn't matter. They just wanted to win games and be successful, and thankful. Hopefully, the proof's in the pudding for all my kind of, the past that's what I've been able to do. I think, when I've came away from that and tried to be a 4-3-3, passy football, I think too many coaches and managers now watch too much La Liga, and think, oh, this is hard football to be played.
Yeah.
Football's about scoring goals. That's for me, that it is anyway, so. But yeah, so I do have my own identity. There's no doubt about it.
And I think that's half the battle. I think in football management, that getting that sort of identity to you. There's, as you said, there's a lot of people focusing now. They want to play the kind of Pep Guardiola kind of way,
Yeah.
and there's so many different ways. You can skin a cat, but obviously that was a learning curve for you at Knockbreda. And I always remember actually Brendan Rodgers. I can't remember if it was at Reading or Watford when he was just starting off, and it was something similar. He talked about maybe changing his style or maybe being forced to change his style, and he came away from that experience. I can't remember what it was, Watford or Reading, one of the two anyway. And one thing he came away from that experience was always sticking by his principles no matter what. And he decided going forward at Swansea and obviously then at Liverpool and Celtic and obviously more recently at Leicester is to stick with those principles. But again, I suppose he was something similar. He was very young in management. He got this fantastic opportunity at Watford or Reading, and I suppose he was happy just to go along with it. But you can guarantee now, with more experience, and the same with yourself, if you're looking at a player, you're going to get him now. So obviously then you went to Ballymacash, and I have to say, I thought it was quite a coup for Ballymacash to get you. They were a club that was moving in the right direction. You could see obviously with Michael Gult before you and all the stuff they were doing kind of on and off the field in terms of progressing as a football club. But I just always remember anytime I picked up the Daily Mirror on a Tuesday morning, I just seen your face on it, during obviously your successful times at Ards Rangers. So I knew about you, and you obviously had a lot of success at Amateur League. And when I found out that Ballymacash appointed you, I thought that's a really shrewd appointment. Because obviously it must have been a bit of a disappointment them losing Michael Gult, and I thought when they got you in, I thought they're definitely going to be moving forward. Was there anything, I suppose, that stuck out that tempted you? And it's not being disrespectful. Ballymacash is a great catchment area, and as I said, club really moving on the up. But what was it that really tempted you to go to Ballymacash? Was there anything that stuck out, or was it knowing you were going to get that support from the football club and
To be honest, I didn't know a lot about Ballymacash before I came to the club, and that's being completely honest. I didn't really even know that much about Mid-Ulster League, and I'd played against a lot of the clubs maybe in Intermediate Cup games or Irish Cup games with Ards Rangers, but I didn't know a lot about them. And to be honest, I think Galty done a great job because Galty raised the profile of the club.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously he used his contacts in the game, played at a very very high level. And was able to use those contacts of players to bring in high-profile players to the club, which raised the profile, got everybody talking. So that was kind of how even I heard about the club. I knew what was kind of happening, but because of Galty and the players, the Rory Pattersons and stuff that that were at the club. So it really raised the profile. But really, until I met with the committee, because obviously I had questions, because I was going, the last thing I wanted was another experience like Knockbreed. Maybe, it wasn't a bit of a blank canvas, or they wanted to play. I've heard of other managers going to other clubs, and again, there's a style of play that they want that club to play, and I know my style's not. I actually disagree. So people say I'm a long ball manager. I think that's absolute rubbish. Do my teams have a long ball in the locker? 100%. But we've also got many other things. But I want to be able to do my own things. When I met with the committee at Ballymacash, I was blown away by what they said to me. In terms of the ambition of the club, where they're wanting to go. What in terms of the Ballymacash Sports Academy, because the Sports Academy, is the like the overriding entity of Ballymacash Rangers, and the ladies section and the youth section, and all the kind of the share offer that's on with the community. They're the first fan-owned club really in Northern Ireland. They've got so many shareholders, and just the short-term ambition, the long-term ambition of the club. It was like, here's a club, very much in terms of like what we had with Ards Rangers, but Ards Rangers, there was a ceiling. They weren't going to go up. Ballymacash wanted to go up. That was their main aim. It was to get out of the Middle Ulster League, to get into the Irish League. And even now that we're into the Irish League, the ambition of the club is not to exist in Championship 2. They want the PAL, they want to push forward, they want to progress. And to be honest with you, I would be shocked, looking into the future, if Ballymacash don't become a Championship 1 or a Premier League side. Now, that's not to say I'll be the manager to take them there. I'll have to do very, very well for them to keep me, but I know the ambition of the club. I know the people behind the scenes, who work in the Sports Academy, and the hard work that goes on. It's a very, very unique football club, and I actually feel like I'm very, very lucky to be here. There's not too many clubs could ring me to make me even think about leaving. I think it's that much of an exciting project. So when I met with them, and they kind of, they say to me, it's a blank canvas. There's no interference. There is no comment, from the committee in terms of what team I pick, what I do. And it was just all positive from them to me. And I was like, this is where I want to be. It was exciting as well, coming into something new, because I didn't know the Middle Ulster League. So even having away days at Tandergee, or going away to these places that I'd never been before, it was kind of exciting. It was exciting even for the players, because you just didn't know, where you were going. And I think when we took over and we brought players in from all kind of different levels, we brought a few amateur league players in with history, we brought a few in from kind of Irish League history, but maybe hadn't worked out for them at previous clubs, and I didn't know. I felt that on paper we were a good team, but I didn't actually know. And I remember, I think it was our second league game, we were away to Bourneview, and I knew Bourneview were a decent side, with good young players, and I said at the start of the game to my coaching staff, I was like, I'm nervous because I don't know how much I can demand from the team, because I don't know actually how good they are. And I went down that day and we were phenomenal. And I just went to myself, yeah, we're on the right lines here. This is exactly, because it was basically a new kind of team. And even the players who had stayed, because there was good players that were obviously at the club, but obviously we were asking them to play in a very, very different way. Than maybe what had gone on for their whole career, not just recently, because we changed obviously from the 4-3-3, we moved away from that, and they were being asked to do different things. But that was the day I kind of went, yeah, we're on the right lines here, because I knew the likes of Crew had a really good team, and Big Eamon had been there for a couple of years, and they were more settled than what we were, so it was a bit of a challenge for us to come in and hit the ground running. But thankfully we did, and honestly, the support from the club, in terms of the whole, it feels like a football club. It's a proper football club. It's, you turn up on a Saturday, there's a great crowd about the place. The burger van's on, the tannoy's on, the bar's packed. It's just there's a real community feeling about the place, and I think it's really exciting. And I think now we're up into the PIL. I'm looking forward to seeing the crowds that we're going to bring next year, because the support. I remember my first game at Ballymacash, we were away to Windmill Stars. This was the pre-COVID season. So I think we only had 2 games and COVID stopped it. And hundreds of fans turned up in blue Santa hats. And I was just standing there going, what is, I'm scored a goal, and they all start singing. And I kind of go, I haven't heard a song at 9 years at Ards Rangers, didn't hear a song at Knockbreda for 3 years, from the crowd. So it was just really unique. And I just thought this is the place for me. And what I've liked as well, we've brought players from all sections of the community, from all sections of, basically from the Carrick, the Belfast, the Malile, we've brought players from everywhere. And everybody's bought into it, and they've been so welcoming, from the club and the committee and people around. And not only the first team, the first team win their league, the second team win their league with some unbelievable young players. The third team win their league. They've got, the 15, 16-year-olds playing for the third team. So it's all really, really positive. We've got an over 35 section.
I've seen them. They got to the final.
They got the final. The ladies are, up into the championship. And I'm of a thriving youth section, and it's just getting bigger year by year. So the scope, the sustainability at the club is there. The long-term planning of the club is there. Where it's a wee bit different, maybe a club like Knockbreda, where it's difficult for Knockbreda because of the catchment area. They're kind of in the hills. It doesn't really have a community around it as such. So it's hard for them to bring in, many fans. Whereas I never realised Ballymacash, the area, was such a big area.
Mm-hmm.
It's huge. It's such a huge catchment area. And, I'm driving into the estate at times and I'm seeing kids walking about in Ballymacash kits. They're not walking about in Glentoran, Linfield, Cliftonville Crusaders kits. They're walking about in Ballymacash kits. So it's a real, and I love that. And I think that's, fantastic. And I think that the players and, they're heroes to these young lads. And, winning the league there, was such a good thing. Obviously, it was only the second time the club have done it. And winning the league was great, but I felt, and the players felt, we couldn't really celebrate because we wanted to go up. That was if we'd have won the league and not went up, it would have been a disaster.
Mm.
And so many clubs are looking at our players and trying to sign our players. Clubs from higher levels are trying to sign our players. And I knew, as much as they loved it, if we didn't get in the Mid-Ulster League, it'd be very, very hard for players to turn down top Championship 1 clubs to stay and play another season in the Mid-Ulster League. And thankfully now we've been able to get up and, all the players have turned down, that don't want to leave now because hopefully it's just the next step on our journey. But I say I'm very, very privileged and I think, I'm only 38, but I do have all that experience behind from the youth football in the early days, the Ards 15s, 16s, 18s, going into the Ards Rangers as a young manager, having the lab at my age. And the Daily Mirror every week was giving me the wrong age, and all my school friends were going to me, Lee, well, why does the newspaper say you're 4 years older than what you actually are? But all those experiences, and again, my experience at Knockbreda, have all shaped me, and it's been a great journey. But I say hopefully there's still plenty more to come, and we're really excited about the PAL. We're not being disrespectful to it, because I know there's some really good clubs, Bangor and Queens and Armagh and Limavady, and there's good clubs in the league. It'll not be easy, but I've confidence in the players, and hopefully we've brought a couple in. Hopefully we can bring a couple of more in, and we can. I'm not too sure what the expectation is, on the outside, but certainly we have our own aims privately, what we want to do, and we think we can ruffle a few feathers. But I say it will be a learning year for us too, because it will be a new experience. I've been a Championship 1 for 3 years, but I've never been in the PAL. So, I know it's difficult. I know it's a bit of a stop-start league as well with cup competitions. If we were to go out of cup competitions early, you're left for weeks on end with no game, and so there's going to be things to manage. But I say getting out of the Mid-Ulster League was massive. It was huge, and I say I enjoyed the year, just and knew something fresh. But I think again this year we're kind of coming into it on a bit of a bounce, obviously on the back of something really positive, where I think the other clubs are maybe all on a wee bit of a downer. Bangor missing out in promotion, and Armagh missing out in the playoff, and Queen's getting relegated, and so we'll try to keep that momentum going for as long as we can. But as I said to you earlier, it's football is very, very fickle. We could have a bad start to the league, and all of a sudden, I don't have a clue, and the players aren't good enough, and and that's what you have to, But again, that hindsight, that comes from experience, and I have confidence in the players, and one or two bad results is not going to change me or change the players. I know I believe I'm good enough to do a good job in the PAL with Ballymacash. I believe the players are good enough. So let's hope that's the case.
Yeah. I was actually looking at the league table. I see you've obviously got Portstewart away in your first game. The fixture's
Yeah,
right today. I was looking
yeah,
at the league table last season. If you look at Newington were by far the most consistent team. They only lost 4 games all season. But
yeah,
when you look at the other sides in the top half, Bangor, Armagh, Limavady, Banbridge, Dollingstown, they all lost about 7, 8, 9 games each.
yep,
So they're all
yep.
beating each other, and it just shows
hmm
you can, obviously you probably don't want to be losing that many games, but it just shows you can nearly afford to lose 7, 8 matches, and you could be right in contention for those
Yeah, I
top
think
couple of places.
it's the kind of league where if any team can put a wee run together, it wins.
Hmm.
I think in the PIL, if you can win 4 or 5 games in a row, it'll completely transform where you are. And I think, obviously, if we can get obviously when the split comes as well in this league, so, that's well down the line. But I think every team will be capable of taking points off each other in this league. I think it's about consistency and it's about being on it every single week. And we had to contend with that last year in the Mid Ulster because we were the scalp for every team every single week last year. Home or away, we were the team that everybody wanted to beat. Teams were raising their game to play us. There's absolutely no doubt about that. And what I praise the boys for is that level of consistency. We were on it, 99% last year every single week. And when we did have a bad result or we did have an upset, I loved about the group that we always bounced back. There was no real feeling sorry for ourselves. And the majority of that group, I think, I heard some rubbish, the Ballymacash are going to go out and we're going to go and bring all these top players in. And I'm going, I've got top players. We were building a team last year, so that we didn't need major surgery going into this year. We'll look to strengthen and bring a couple of players in just to complement what we've already got. But, I believe in the players that we've got. And I think that it was the consistency they showed last year was second to none. I don't think I think you could put any team from any level into the Mid Ulster League last year and they would have struggled to show the consistency that we did, week in, week out, winning, we scored the most goals. I think we scored 126 goals or something. We only conceded 24 goals all season. It was that consistency week in, week out. And there were some tough places, I have to say, especially away from home. There was some really tough games. Some teams really put it up to us. And I say the PAL will be no different. But it's one that everybody's relishing. Like we really are looking forward to. I wish the season was starting tomorrow. And obviously for Portstewart first game, and ironically we just signed Big Zach Barr from Portstewart.
I seen that.
Yeah, Big Zach scored 17 from last season. Big Zach played for me at Knockbreda, so I know him well. And so just ironically for him, what a first game. But no, it'll be I think I think I've heard about the supporters there. They're booking hotels and then down for the weekend already, so that's the kind of club. That's the kind
Are
of
there
club you've
Santa
got.
hats?
Yeah, well, Santa hats in August, don't know about that, but that's the kind of club. But be more buckets and spades and Hawaiian shirts I would expect from them, But we'll bring colour to the league, and we'll bring, we'll definitely bring a new energy to the league as well. I think teams will enjoy. They'll certainly enjoy the turn at the gate with the support that we'll carry, and in the clubhouse as well. The supporters really do support the football team, so they are 12th man, and it's great. It's great to have that because it's just not something I have been used to, just in this volume of support. There's people there who it's just a vast support of them, and because the Bluebell, it is the centre of the community here in Ballymacash, because there's not really another bar, it's Lisburn City Centre you'd have to go to, so people come to the Bluebell, so it really is this kind of central hub. And thankfully the supporters in the community have got on board with a football team, and I say that's just the club are on a real positive spin, and we've got a new clubhouse going up here shortly as well, through the share offer through the shareholders, and it's I think being jointly commissioned by Lisburn Castle Council, so and that's going to have a community gym and a cryo spa, and so it's going to just raise the profile of the club even again, so all very, very, very positive.
Yeah, exciting times ahead. And as you said, your consistency, you only dropped, I think it was 11 points all season in the league.
11. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
that's
and
right.
when you look at it, just shows you how consistent you were. The fact that, it was a fascinating rivalry between you and Crew. Crew
Yeah,
didn't maybe make the best start of the season. They maybe lost a couple of games early on, but then they went on a fantastic run of
absolutely.
whatever number of games, which shows how consistent you were. The fact that, you know,
Yeah, no,
despite
Crew,
their unbeaten run, you were able to win the league by a number of points. But
yeah,
it
no,
was just,
Crew kept us honest,
yeah.
the whole way, to be fair to them. They really kept us honest. And we knew we had to be on it because Crew were there, but I think there's many teams in that position, when Crew were breathing down our necks and, it was win, 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 win. Um, Many teams would have maybe crumbled or would have maybe felt the heat. And that's why I'm so, proud of the players here now, because they were able to deal with it and they were able to go out and they were able to deliver, and even in the last game, the season, at home to Bourneview, again, who, as I said, really good side, we went out and we beat them 6-0. We absolutely blitzed them. And in the pressure of that game, the pressure of that game, last game of the season, needing a result to win the league, to be sure
Hmm.
of it, because Crew still had games in hand and it was our last match. And, to go out and do it in that style, I just thought spoke volumes of the players, because Bourneview, they showed in the first 10 minutes, like Bourneview were not coming to lie down, or, they really put us up there, put it up to us. But I say the tempo, it's the tempo that at which we've played games this year. We're really, really fit. We're really, really in your face, and that's what I like. We're not going to give anybody an easy ride. But Crew were excellent. I'll be interested to be keeping one eye on the Middle League this year. Because obviously Oxford are a very good side and have signed a couple of good players. And I think obviously Gary Duke being in Banbridge now, a
Hmm.
year, and some really good players. Obviously Big Aaron, his son's an absolute phenomenal player. I think he scored 50 odd goals last year. So
Yeah.
it'll be good. It'll be good competition in the league. But I think that the other thing for me for the Middle Ulster League and the playoff next year could be really interesting. Because there's going to be so many teams. Thankfully this year it was only us and St James's. Whereas I would expect next year the likes of Rathfriland and Belfast Celtic St James will apply again. There's rumours of Maiden City, and you could end up with maybe 4 clubs going in a playoff next year.
Hmm.
In the regional league. So I think that'll be interesting. So for us, it was just about getting over the line, and I think because St James's were a good side, we knew we weren't going to get it easy over the 2 legs with St James's. But again, it was our home form, which it has been all season. Was you know, thankfully the first leg at home, I had 1 foot already through, but winning 3-0, it would have been a catastrophe to throw that lead away. But say just getting out of the league is huge for the club the first time. For Ballymacash Rangers to be an Irish League club now is, everything probably as good as I could have wished. Last year when I took the job, everything's worked out well so far. But you can't really rest your laurels too long in this game, because it'll come back and bite you in the arse very, very quickly.
Yeah, well, exciting times ahead anyway. So we'll be keeping a close eye on you, and all the best for next season.
No, I
Um,
appreciate that. Hopefully, we can do well. Hopefully, if we do half as well as we did last season, we'll be doing something right.
yeah, no, I'm sure you will. So we're going to kick on then with the Keepie Uppie questions that I sent you, or this is what
Yeah,
Richie made out,
yeah,
and
yeah, yeah,
as I did
yeah,
warn you, they're a bit of a head melter because no doubt you've probably a couple of players in mind. So this is basically whoever you've played with, or probably more than likely managed.
yeah.
Um, so we'll rattle through these then. So best team you've ever played for or managed.
That's a hard one. That's a hard one because
Yeah.
obviously, I think the Ards Rangers double winning team was obviously excellent because of what we done. But I mean, because I'm in it right now, I think that the current Ballymacash team, it is hard for me to look past them because I think that the Ards Rangers double winning team, again, there was a ceiling. We win the league, and then a few players left because they went to they moved on. And whereas I think that this team here at Ballymacash I think the scope and the potential is so much more, is so much bigger, and nobody's leaving, and we're only getting stronger. So, this is definitely as good a team as I've had. I don't think there's any doubt about that. I think we will give anybody a game at any level. I think nobody will enjoy playing against us. Any team in the country, I don't think would enjoy playing against us the way we play. So I have to say what we have now.
Okay. Best captain?
Best captain. Well, I'll make it fair, and I'll not actually use the players that I have now because they'll fall out with me if I start going against them. So I'll change my last answer to the Ards Rangers double winning team because at least it's historical. Best captain, historical captain, obviously Big Jordan Morrison is my captain now, who's outstanding for me. But I say best captain was probably Big Jared Watson at Ards Rangers in 2012. Big Watsy was just a leader of men. He was just a big monster centre half. He had a missing tooth, and just he put his head where some people wouldn't put their feet.
That's why he's a missing tooth.
Missing tooth. But no, he's great leader, great for the just the changing room. Excellent.
Yeah. Next two then, best goal scorer and best touch.
Again, we'll go not current team. So best goals. I had so many good goal scorers over the years. Dee Farron at Knockbreda, Ricky Rutherford, Mark Miller, Darren Sterling, Glenn Upton. Best goal scorer. I would probably go with Darren Sterling. When he played for me at Ards Rangers, because he didn't play that many games. I think he only played the year we won the league. I think he played 17 games. He scored 22 goals, and he obviously played the higher level of Crusaders and Ards. And I think he's very, very unlucky with injuries. I think if he didn't get injured, he was just a natural goal scorer. But there were so many. I've been very, very lucky to have so many players, and obviously now Big Michael Moore and stuff, all players who score goals. But I think I'd probably give it to Darren Sterling overall.
And then best touch.
Best touch. I'll give you two players.
Yeah.
Gary McDermott played for me at Ards Rangers, and Paddy Gafola, who played for me at Knockbreda. Were both excellent. Just really, just pull a ball out of space.
And then in defence, I'm looking your best goalkeeper and best defender.
Best goalkeeper, by a good wee distance, would be Lee Windram. Lee lives over in England now, but he came in at Ards Rangers. Just the arrogance of the guy was, but he backed it up. He was great. We went away to Kilmore, and he made the only mistake I ever seen him make. And we're 1-0 down at half time, and obviously we're going for the league, and he came in with a few words at half time, and he said, listen, he says, you score 2 goals, he says, we'll win the game. He says, I will not concede again. And you believe them. You believed him, and he was so good. And then he came with me at Knockbreda for a bit as well. Excellent. He was at Hearts and all when he was younger. But absolutely excellent. What was the other one? Best
defender.
Again, I was probably going to say Big Watsy, who was the best captain. Big Watsy was absolutely excellent. I think again he could have done a lot more in his career. Could have played a lot higher. Again, some really good. I think like Big Jordan Morrison, who plays for me now, is going to be and could be. I'm not going to big him up too much because he'll get more phone calls from clubs. But no, I think Jared Watson. I'll go for Big Watsy overall.
Okay. Next two then, best midfielder and best striker.
Best midfielder's easy. It's Ryan Newbury, who had obviously a long career for me at Ards Rangers and played for me at Knockbreda. Newbury, the year he won the league in 2012, the only manager who didn't ring me about Newbury was David Jeffrey at Linfield at the time. Every other club, I think, was after him. Every other club, he was training him at Portadown, he was Stephen Baxter Crusaders, and he ended up being a Glen man. He ended up going to the Glens, and it probably wasn't the right move for him. He probably should have went to Crusaders from a football playing side of things. But it didn't really work out for him with the Glens. And then he got his band stuck in the Regents at the national team. But what a player! Absolutely exceptional. Just again, could have and should have played a lot higher. There's players there who are getting hundreds of pounds a week in the Irish League, and the wooden lace Ryan's boots. And even now, was he 32 now? I still think he would be exceptional, and he would play easily in the Irish League. And best striker, Best forward.
Yeah.
Best forward. I'm going to give it to somebody who's fell out with me. Actually, he's not going to speak to me at the minute. But Big Ricky Rutherford. Big Ricky was. I signed him at Ards Rangers. He was 35 and dumb. Everybody told me he was dumb. He fell out with Dunmurray Rack, and he was a nightmare. And he was horrible to play against. But he transformed us. He transformed us a lot. We were struggling before we signed Big Ricky, and Ricky came in and transformed everybody. Is just his work ethic, his energy, his power, his eye for goal. He was just that double winning year. He was just unplayable. Like, he was going for headers, and there was maybe 2 or 3 defenders hanging off his shoulders, just couldn't get near him. He was an absolute monster, and he played through the pain barrier for me. He had real back problems, and he was taking painkillers and doing everything. But he when he didn't play, he was the player you missed the most. But certainly for when he was fit and when he was playing, he had the biggest impact in any of my teams as a forward. So I'd easily say Ricky Rutherford.
Yeah, sounds like one of those players that obviously would put himself on the line for you. You need a couple of fellas like that, don't you?
Oh,
Especially when you're a manager,
did.
and
Yeah, no,
everybody picks up
he did.
injuries, and you get the ones that's crying off, and then he obviously isn't one of them.
He did. No, he was excellent. I say he was. He still played there up to recently, and he was a big gentleman. He was honestly excellent. I would never hear a bad word said about the big man. He's an absolute monster. But in every team that we played against, it was always like, stop Ricky Rutherford, and you'll stop Ards Rangers. But that was easier said than done. Flipping a shotgun wouldn't have stopped that big man. So.
What about left foot? Best left foot and best right foot?
Best left foot, Ryan Newbury. Again, just a foot like a wand. Could do anything. He put the ball wherever he wanted it. His right foot could have been improved on, but his left foot was excellent. Best right foot is a good question, because you've quite a few there. Because the majority of them are right footed, if you know what I mean. So best right foot, I'll probably, I'll be surprised this. I'll probably go for Johnny Roy, who played for me at Ards Rangers. Johnny just could strike a ball harder and faster than anyone, really. He could hit a 70-yard ping, 70-yard pass. Probably to his detriment sometimes. He probably tried it too much. But I think Johnny, overall, if you were looking at a proper clean strike of a connection of the ball, would be Johnny.
So he's like the Trent Alexander-Arnold, is he?
He was actually a winger. I turned him into a right back. He became a right back for me, but because he had that in his locker, that 70-yard crossfield ball, he used to do it every flipping time. But he scored some screamer free kicks and stuff, but no, real great strike of the ball, a real clean, true strike of the ball. So I'd have to say Johnny will be shocked now if he listens to that.
Very good. What about next two then? There's only a couple to go. Loves a hard challenge. Sounds like big Watson again.
I was going to say, it's hard. Can't keep it. I feel like it's a big Watson loving.
And quickest player.
I'll go hard challenge. I'll go for Mark Roy, who was the double winning captain at Ards Rangers. Hard not to give him a mention. The left back. Mark's only about 5'6", 5'7", but he preferred to tackle. Sometimes he would take a heavy touch just so he could go 50-50 with somebody. So I would say Mark. It's Johnny's brother. I would say Mark loves a big tackle. And the fastest. Again, I'm not using my players now because it would easily be Justy, but no, it was a lad, Adam Welsh, played for me at Ards Rangers, and he was more interested in golf. But this kid just with a flying machine, absolutely ridiculous. Pace. Another game against Kilmore, we were 2-0 down at half time with 10 men, and I brought him on. And we went 3-2. He scored a hat trick, and he just destroyed them with pace. They stepped on to us because we were 10 men sitting behind the ball playing the counter attack. And you're playing the counter attack with this roadrunner up front. Just knocked the ball over the top. Now the problem with Welshie was, he would probably only score 1 of 10 when he got clean through. But just that day against Kilmore, he hit the target 3 times. But really, really just rapid quick. you couldn't mark him. And pace kills. Pace kills teams. Absolutely, especially at intermediate football level, pace is a huge one.
What about best all-round player then?
Best all-round player. Again, it's probably Ryan Newbury. Newbury could play anywhere. You could play him right midfield, left midfield, centre midfield. He played centre half for me. He played up front. He's playing up front for Ards Rangers now. You could play him left back. Yeah, honestly, I really do think Newbury, just the best all-round footballer. He can read the game. I think he was actually have a decent career as a manager. He reads it so well and he sees it so well. And I think you could easily put him into any team, in my opinion, in the Irish Premier League now, and he would not look one bit out of place. So I think he's a real kind of unfulfilled talent of what he could have, the career he probably could have had. It's probably hard to look past him, to be honest.
Okay, and then last two, player that got better with age, and the player who always gave 100%.
Player got better with age, Nathan McVeigh. Nathan played for me at Ards under 18s, and he was a sub, and he was a sub right back, and he was flipping awful. He was that Youth League Cup final I was talking about, where would be Cliftonville 1-0.
Mm-hmm.
Andy Ross, the centre half, was actually injured. I think he dislocated his knee, and I was giving him a fitness test in the pre-match to try to get him to play because I didn't want to play McVeigh. I was, that's hard bad. I was like, oh flip, I can't play McVeigh here. I was going to have to put him in at right back, and then he went away and he played for Ravenhill and at lower level football, and everybody was saying to me, I want to see McVeigh now, he's a good player, and I'm kind of going, listen, he was terrible. There's no way. But brought him to Ards Rangers. He was a monster. He was an absolute monster at Ards Rangers. He was the best player, win player of the year for me before I left, and then I brought him to Knockbreda, and again win player of the year in Championship 1 for me at Knockbreda. Just a running machine, but fit, strong, and he improved so much with his touch. And he's now playing for East Belfast, and Nathan is as good a centre midfielder out there. Definitely outside of the Premiership. Just will cover every blade of grass. He's fit, he's strong, and I say he's improved so much technically. It's phenomenal. He just doesn't look like the same person. It's hard to believe. If you'd have seen him at 17, you felt sorry for him,
Mm-hmm.
But now he just absolutely. I watched him last year, and he's actually got better even from when I last seen him at Knockbreda. Excellent. Player who gave 100%. There's quite a few. Mark Roy, Jamie Patterson. Always Big Ricky. I'll probably for longevity for me. I'd probably go for Jamie Patterson. When he played for me at Ards Rangers and Knockbreda, I say I'm not going to use any of the players who play for me now. But Jamie, got his 2 front teeth knocked out, real bad facial injury. And I would put many people off, but Jamie just got 2 false teeth in the gum shield, and away he went, and still going up, centre half, going and winning balls in the air. It happened to him away at Dromara, and real terrible injury. And, put him out of work, put him out of everything, lost half his gum as well. And, still just, not, his nickname is Meathead for a reason, because he probably doesn't, he doesn't have too much between his ears, but, but always give 100%, whether he was good or bad, he'd always, he would give you everything. So I'd probably go for Jamie.
Happy days. Right, well, the last thing then we're going to run through with you is the Wheel of Burba, which is just spinning a imaginary wheel. It's going to land on a hot topic of debate, and we're just going to get your opinion on it. So I've spun the wheel here. It's landed on a topic here that was discussed recently following Gareth Bale's heroics for Wales. And there was a bit of a debate, who's the best home nations player sort of in recent times. Obviously, if you look back, it's probably a no-brainer. It's Georgie Best, or some people might say Bobby Charlton or Bobby. Anyway, so it's in recent times. Okay, so I've shortlisted a couple of players.
Yeah.
One's obviously going to be Gareth Bale because he's what kicked off the debate.
Yeah.
Wayne Rooney, record goal scorer for England.
Yeah. I'm a Liverpool man. I can't be giving to Wayne Rooney. Can't be doing that.
It's hard to look past David Healy. 36
Yeah.
goals for Northern Ireland and those memorable moments against Spain. Obviously,
Glen
that iconic goal against.
I
know this is a tough one, actually. This is harder than I thought for you. Robbie Keane, then record goal scorer for the Republic. Yeah. And Scotland, I can't even think of a Scottish player in recent times. Probably Andy Robertson.
I was going to say Andy Robertson. All right. Well, the reason actually I won't go for Wayne Rooney is I think that I know he's record goal scorer for England, but there's so many. You look at
tournaments.
Yeah, but you look at them qualifiers now, and you're playing against countries that Ballymacash will give a game to. And you're going out and scoring 2 and 3. Whereas back maybe 20, 30 years ago when Gary Lineker's day and stuff, they weren't playing against those smaller breakaway nations. So no, I don't. I'm definitely not going to win Rooney. At the end of the day, it has to be Healy. I think Northern Ireland wouldn't have had the success or the results that they had without David Healy. So I think as a one man, those results wouldn't have happened without Healy. And I know he's Linfield manager, but I actually met David a few times and stuff, and I think he's a nice guy, and I think that you can't actually knock the manager job. I have to respect him. The job he's on Linfield, I think is phenomenal. I think he's done it.
And he still gets knocked. It's amazing.
I think it's madness. It's madness because somebody said to me already about Northern Ireland manager, like I don't want Healy as manager, and as a Glen man, I would love him to get the Northern Ireland manager's job because I think he'd be a hard act to follow. I think obviously David Jeffrey was the pinnacle, and he was hard act to follow, and obviously Warren Feeney and stuff that came in. But David Healy's been excellent. But as a player, you can't knock him. For Northern Ireland for what they are and the results that they got, they wouldn't have got those results without him. You could maybe argue Wales would have more of a chance of getting results even without Bale, because they still got some very good players. Where Northern Ireland didn't really. I suppose it did with Steve Davis and stuff, but I think Healy was the only one who was ever going to score a goal for Northern Ireland. Big James Quinn and stuff, back at that kind of team weren't going to do it. So I have to say Healy has had the biggest impact. I think, again, take Wayne Rooney out of England, somebody else probably would have scored the goals. Wales would have certainly missed Bale, but I think Healy would have been if David Healy never played for Northern Ireland, say we had declared for the Republic, I don't think Northern Ireland would have had those memorable results. I don't think there was anybody even close to. There's not too many kind of Northern Irishmen. Even when he went to Fulham and stuff, Laurie Sanchez, he scored goals. He went to Leeds, he scored goals. You can't knock him for what he did in his career. Obviously at Preston and stuff. So no, I'll have to go a Glen man. I'll have to go for a Blue man.
Right. Don't worry. I'll edit this out. Don't worry. Nobody will know anything about it.
Nobody will know. So yeah, I'll have to say that.
And here's a wee fact for you. He actually holds the highest scoring tally for a European Championship qualifying campaign.
I did.
13. Do you know 13, who he with? Have a guess.
Dollar Sugar? No.
Plays now. Still playing now, scoring pile of goals, and he's looking away from his football club. Plays in Germany.
Oh, Lewandowski?
Yeah, 13 goals. That's pretty impressive for a qualifying campaign.
Yeah. Oh, there we go.
There's a fact for you.
Yeah, and for a nation like Northern Ireland,
yes,
you're not. I mean, flip me either. What they would give, Healy could probably put his boots on now and still probably do a better job than what's happening at the minute.
Yeah.
I'll have to say Healy, but as a Glen man, I doesn't get an answer. But as a manager, I definitely respect him. I can't not respect him for what he's done. Same as Alex Ferguson must have hated him. Again, respected him for what he done, what he achieved in the game.
Yeah. And this is the very last question. Myself and Richie, we have strong connections with Oxford Sunnyside. 2-1 now. We're playing for the over 35s. They have a big game coming up next Friday night against 5 Mile Town in the Marshall Cup. So you've obviously a bit of experience. And look, I want you to be, well, you're going to be honest anyway, because I know from just speaking to you, you're going to be honest. So if you think it's the other team, but you've played both sides, who do you think is going to win the Marshall Cup, or who do you think's got the better chance from your experience playing the two sides?
Well, that's a hard question because I'm actually very fond of the 5 Mile Town lads. I got on really well with them this year, and but Oxford are a better side. I think Oxford have better players overall. And I think 5 Mile Town losing the wee Simon Warrington earlier in the season, the Ballymacash hurt them. But I do think Oxford obviously they've more players there who have obviously Championship and Irish League background. Jordan Bell, Chrissy Lavery, Marcio, Warner Mullen. They've a lot of players there who have played at a higher level. So I would say that Oxford would be favourites. So Oxford definitely should be favourites for the game. I'll say Oxford will edge it 2-1.
Okay.
I think they're definitely on paper they're a better team. But I say it's not I wouldn't say it's the most convincing. The favourites tag, because 5 Mile Town are certainly capable when they play well. They're certainly capable of they played us here at home and give us a real tough game at home. So I think on their day they could beat anybody, but it'll be a good game. It'll be a good game. I think Paddy's done a great job at Oxford as well. So he has. I think they'll probably be happy that we're out of the league next year. I think they'll be one of the ones looking to compete with Crewe and the likes of Banbridge for the mid-Ulster next year. And I know Oxford have big ambitions as a club as well. So no, I'll be yeah. When is that? Friday night?
Yeah, Friday night. Friday. It's Friday week. Sorry. Yeah, tomorrow week. 24th.
Okay. 24th. Yes. I know. Actually, we had pulled out of the cup because our players they go to Liverpool on the 24th. we had a season trip, so there was no point keeping them in, and it'll be really tough for both. Really tough for both those clubs. They're not going to get much of a break now before going in.
Yeah.
But the winning team, it'll be worth it. But the losing team, it'll be hard because they're not going to get much of a break in the pre-season. But no, it'll be a good game. Who did Oxford beat in the semis?
They beat 5 Mile Town beat Windmill Stars.
Yeah.
And who was it? I'm trying to think who did Oxford beat. Oh, it was Sandy Hill. Sandy Hill from the Mid-Ulster Division 1 kind of junior section, who done really well even to get to the semis.
To get there.
Just beat them in extra time. So it'll be a tough enough match. 5 Mile Town, I think you beat them 5. Did you beat them 5-0?
We beat them 5. We beat them 5. We were
a lot of their
excellent
games
that
they
day.
only lose by the odd goal.
I know we were excellent that day. Now, to be fair, the day we went down there, we were really, really good. But I say the game at home, they give us good problems for a good 30-40 minutes. At home, I think at home we've been excellent. But I say they do have good players. There's no doubt about it. I say 5 Mile Town are more than capable of winning the game.
Mm-hmm.
But if both teams play to their maximum, Oxford should win it. I think Oxford do have more. They just have more experience. They have players who have played at a higher level. But it will be a case of who turns up on
the day.
Who turns up? Because cup finals are hard to predict, But no, I think it'll actually be a good. I would have liked to have watched that, but I'm away to Liverpool with them, so I would have liked to have seen. I'll be watching keenly anyway. But yeah, no, I'm sure it'll be a good occasion for both the clubs, definitely.
Super, yeah, I think there'll be goals. Well, here, Lee, thanks a million for taking the time out. It was nearly 90 minutes there, but just fascinating story. As I said, I just wanted to touch base with you because I've always sort of kept a close eye on you, as I said at the start, mainly because every Tuesday when I picked up the Daily Mirror, you're in the paper. So
used to get some stick about that. Used to get some stick, the Lee Forsythe, it was called at one point. But yeah, Martin Mulwiney used to be the reporter, and I had a great relationship with him, and every time he rang me, I always was good. I always give him a bit of gold. I always give him some sensational, used to play men games, used to play, so he always used to ring me for them. But again, I was young and silly, whereas now I've been more kind of PC and just kind of keep, don't get into that as much anymore, but it's still in me, like, but no, I haven't done it in a while. But that was why Martin used to always ring me. He's a good lad. He's not in there with him anymore.
But no, good times and exciting times ahead, I'm sure, with Ballymacash, and all the best for next season.
No, I appreciate it. No, listen, thanks for taking the time to listen to me waffle on. So, no, I appreciate that.
Yeah, great chatting to you. And here, all the best. You take it easy.
Thanks.
Enjoy
yes,
Liverpool.
Yourself. Okay, yes, I will. Thanks. All the best. Cheers.
Good luck. Bye.
Thanks. Bye-bye.